Hi, I'm Emma Sutherland, clinical naturopath, author, mum, and your host. With over 20 years in clinical practice, I've helped thousands of women and families transform their health using evidence-based integrative strategies. Now, as a naturopath, I see firsthand how financial stress can take a real toll on our physical and emotional well-being. That's why in this special series, we're exploring the powerful connection between financial health and whole body health, because true health does include your bank account balance. Welcome to today's episode, where we're diving into a fascinating book that completely reshaped how I think about wealth. The book is The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley and William Danko. Now, when you picture a millionaire, what do you think of? A luxury car, designer labels, a big house. According to the research in this book, the reality is often the complete opposite. Most millionaires aren't flashy. They're deliberate, disciplined, and often living quietly next door. You'll also learn a surprisingly simple formula to estimate your expected net worth and find out where you stand. So make sure you hang around to the end of the video. What struck me most about the book was one powerful takeaway, was that financial success isn't about how much you earn. It's about how much time you spend managing what money you have. Just 15 to 30 minutes a month makes all the difference. So let's unpack the habits, mindsets, and money patterns that separate those who quietly build wealth from those who struggle despite earning relatively good money. In this book called The Millionaire Next Door, the authors discuss two types of wealth accumulators. First, there's the prodigious accumulators of wealth, or PAWs, P-A-W-S. The second is under-accumulators of wealth. This classification comes directly from the author's extensive research into the habits and characteristics of American millionaires. Now, the book is based on large-scale survey data. It's not a single academic study. Dr. Thomas Stanley was a university professor, and his findings were based on surveys of thousands of high net worth individuals. I love this quote, the time-money connection. This says, as I alluded before, one of the strongest predictors of financial success is not income, but rather how much time people spend managing their money each month. Typically, it's 15 to 30 minutes. That's not a lot. Now, this came from an early phase of Thomas Stanley's research that was commissioned by a luxury car brand, it was said to be Lexus or Rolls-Royce, and they were aiming to understand their ideal customer. But instead, the research revealed that most millionaires don't spend extravagantly. This surprising insight is what led Stanley to investigate further and end up writing the book. So let me go through some key insights from the book, starting with a summary of the PAWs and the yours categories and how to calculate your expected wealth based on their formula. Now, the wealth accumulation formula is very interesting. The book provides a rough benchmark to assess how well you're building wealth relative to your income. So that equation is expected net worth equals your age times your pre-tax annual income divided by 10. This gives you a baseline of what your net worth should be. Then, if your actual net worth is twice this amount or more, you're considered a PAW, a prodigious accumulator of wealth, and hence you're building wealth efficiently. If your net worth is less than half the expected amount, you're an under-accumulator of wealth, where you're underperforming financially for your income level. If you're somewhere in between, you're considered an average accumulator of wealth. Let me take this to real life, because for me, I need tangible examples. Let's say you're 45 years old. Let's say you earn $100,000 per year before tax. Your expected net worth is 45 times 100,000 divided by 10, which is 450,000. So let's compare. If your net worth is currently 900,000, then that puts you in the PAW category. If your net worth is under 225,000, that puts you in the UAW category. And if it's somewhere in between 225K and 900K, you're an average accumulator of wealth. So key habits of the prodigious accumulators of wealth. This is what they tend to do. They tend to spend 15 to 30 minutes a month planning and reviewing their finances. They live below their means. So they're frugal, not flashy. Or I would say, it doesn't even mean they have to be frugal. It just means they need to live below their means. They need to spend less than they earn. And they prioritize saving and investing early and consistently. They avoid consumer debt, which is that classic bad debt, borrowing to go on holiday, borrowing to buy a car, all those things. They spend more time budgeting than shopping. I need to tell my daughter that. Under accumulators of wealth, in contrast, their habits, let's take a look at them. They can appear wealthy, but they often carry high debt and low savings. They spend much more time spending money than managing money. So are you a PAW or a UAW? It's a powerful question and not one timid to shame, but rather to spark awareness, because with awareness comes choice. Now, the good news, wealth building is a skill, not a talent, and you can absolutely shift your trajectory with intentional changes in how you approach, manage, and value your money. So let me leave you with a few thought-provoking questions to take with you. How much time do you actually spend each month managing your money? I personally spend a couple of hours every month religiously. Every month I will sit down and look at the ingoings, outgoings, what I'm saving for, where am I at with my goals. I really consciously allow time for that. Are your spending habits aligned with your long-term goals, or are they aligned more with short-term satisfaction? What financial habits would the Millionaire Next Door version of you practice? And if you recalculated your net worth annually, would you see meaningful progress? Would you see that number coming up? What would it look like to live a little more below your means and invest the difference in the future you? Thank you so much for joining me on this wealth awareness journey. If this episode gave you a new perspective, I would love for you to share it with a friend, leave a review. It really helps spread the word and empowers others to build wealth quietly and confidently. If you go from this video to go and read the book, I'd love to know what you think and what your insights are. But that key takeaway that PAWs, prodigious accumulators of wealth, have the habit of spending 15 to 30 minutes every single month managing their money, for me, was such a massive insight. It's not a big thing to do, but doing it consistently can make a big difference. Until next time, here's to spending just a little more time on your money so you can spend less time worrying about it.